The sun begins its slow ascent over the rolling hills of the Virginia colony, casting a pale golden light across the misty fields where the morning dew still clings to the blades of long green grass. It is the year 1750, and the world moves at the pace of a horse's steady gait or the gentle flow of a winding river. We find ourselves in a small, quiet room where a man sits at a heavy oak desk holding a quill pen made from the feather of a goose. The room smells of beeswax candles and old parchment paper. He dips the tip of the pen into a glass inkwell filled with dark iron gall ink and waits for the excess liquid to drip back into the jar. Drop by drop, the ink falls. He touches the pen to the rough surface of the paper and begins to write with slow, deliberate strokes. The sound of the scratching nib is the only noise in the room, aside from the rhythmic ticking of a tall grandfather clock standing in the corner. He is writing a letter about the harvest of tobacco and the weather, which has been mild and rainy. He describes the gray clouds that lingered for days over the Blue Ridge Mountains. He writes about the price of wheat and the health of his livestock. There is no urgency in his words. He writes one line and then pauses to think. He looks out the window at the swaying branches of a willow tree. He dips the pen again. The ink flows smoothly, forming loops and curves that turn into words. Hours pass in this manner. The sun moves slowly across the sky, shifting the shadows in the room from west to east. Finally, the letter is finished. He sprinkles fine sand over the wet ink to dry it. He waits. He watches the sand turn dark as it absorbs the ink. He blows the sand away gently. He folds the paper once, then twice, then a third time. There are no envelopes yet, so he must fold the paper into itself to create a secure packet. He heats a stick of red sealing wax over the flame of a candle. The wax begins to melt, turning into a thick, viscous liquid. He holds the wax over the seam of the folded paper and lets a dollop of hot red wax fall onto the parchment. Before it hardens, he presses his brass seal into the soft wax, leaving the impression of his initials. The letter is now ready for its long journey. It is placed in a leather satchel along with other bundles and papers. The satchel smells of tanned leather and horses. A rider mounts a brown mare outside the house. The horse snorts and stamps its hoof on the packed dirt road. The rider adjusts his hat and gently kicks the horse into a walk. They move down the lane, past the wooden fences and the rows of corn that stand tall and silent. The journey has begun, but it will not be fast. The horse walks at a steady pace of 4 miles per hour. Clip-clop, clip-clop. The sound of the hooves on the dirt is repetitive and hypnotic. The rider travels through the dense forests of oak and pine, where the sunlight filters through the canopy in dappled patches. The air is cool and smells of damp earth and decaying leaves. Miles stretch into hours. The rider stops at a small stream to let the horse drink. The water flows over smooth stones, making a gentle bubbling sound. The horse lowers its head and drinks deeply. The rider waits. He looks at the trees. He looks at the sky. Clouds drift lazily overhead, white and fluffy against the blue expanse. They continue on. The road is not straight. It winds around hills and follows the banks of rivers. Sometimes the mud is deep, and the horse must step carefully. The rider does not rush. There is no need to rush. The news in the letter is already days old, and it will be weeks before it reaches its destination in Philadelphia. Evening approaches. The sky turns shades of violet and orange. The crickets begin their nightly chorus, a rhythmic chirping that fills the air. The rider arrives at a small roadside inn. It is a simple log structure with smoke rising from the stone chimney. He dismounts slowly. He hands the reins to a stable boy. He takes the leather satchel inside. The inn is warm and dim, lit by the flickering light of tallow candles. Men sit at wooden tables, speaking in low murmurs about crops and the king,
and the road. The rider eats a meal of stew and bread. He chews slowly. He drinks a mug of ale. He is tired. He finds a bed in the loft and sleeps. The letter sleeps too, safely tucked away in the leather bag. Morning comes. The cycle repeats. The sun rises. The birds sing. The horse is saddled. The rider mounts. They ride. Mile after mile of green wilderness. They pass small cabins with smoke curling from chimneys. They pass farmers working in the fields with scythes swinging in a slow rhythm. Swish, swish. The grass falls. The rider nods to them. They nod back. No words are spoken. The silence of the American frontier is vast and deep. Days turn into a week. The rider reaches a larger town. Here the letter is transferred. It is taken from the saddlebag and placed on a table. A postmaster with spectacles looks at the address. He writes an entry in a ledger. He marks the date. He places the letter into a different bag, a larger canvas sack destined for a stagecoach. The stagecoach is a heavy wooden vehicle with large wheels. It is pulled by 4 strong horses. The driver climbs up to the high seat. He cracks a whip, not to hit the horses, but to signal them. The coach lurches forward with a creak and a groan of wood and metal. The wheels rumble over the cobblestones of the town and then out onto the dirt highway. The ride is swaying and rocking, back and forth, back and forth. The passengers inside doze off, lulled by the motion. The letter sits in the dark sack, bumping gently against other letters. The stagecoach travels north. It crosses wooden bridges that rumble under the weight. It fords shallow rivers where the water splashes up against the wheels. It stops at way stations to change horses. Fresh horses are brought out. Tired horses are led away. The buckles are unfastened and refastened. The leather straps are tightened. The driver checks the wheels. He greases the axles with thick, dark grease. The journey resumes. Rain begins to fall. It starts as a drizzle, a soft mist that covers the world in gray. Then it steadies into a rhythmic drumming on the roof of the coach. Patter, patter, patter. The sound is consistent and soothing. The mud on the road thickens. The coach slows down. The wheels squelch in the wet earth. The world outside the window is blurred by the rain. Hours pass in the gray light. The passengers sleep. The driver pulls his coat tighter. The letter remains dry inside the canvas sack. The rain stops and the sun returns, drying the road. The coach reaches the ferry crossing at the Susquehanna River. The river is wide and calm, moving slowly towards the sea. A flat wooden ferryboat waits at the bank. The coach is carefully driven onto the boat. The ferryman pulls on a thick rope that stretches across the water, hand over hand. Pull and release, pull and release. The boat glides silently across the water. The only sound is the water lapping against the wood and the creaking of the rope. The crossing takes a long time. The current is gentle but strong. Upon reaching the other side, the coach drives off and continues north. Weeks have passed since the letter was written. The seasons are changing. The leaves on the maple trees are turning from green to gold and crimson. They fall slowly from the branches, drifting on the breeze before landing softly on the road. The air is crisp. Smoke from bonfires hangs in the valleys. Finally, the city of Philadelphia appears on the horizon. It is a bustle of activity compared to the quiet Virginia hills, but even here, life is slow by modern standards. Carts pull goods from the docks. Bells ring in the church towers. The stagecoach arrives at the post office. The canvas sack is unloaded. It is opened. The letter is sorted again. It is placed in a wooden slot. It waits. It waits for the recipient to come and claim it. A man walks in. He asks for his mail. The postmaster checks the slot. He hands over the letter with the red wax seal. The man takes it. He does not open it immediately. He walks home. He walks through the brick streets, past the red brick houses with white shutters. He enters his home. He sits in his favorite chair by the fireplace. He breaks the seal. The wax cracks. He unfolds the paper. He reads the words written weeks ago. The harvest, the rain, the price of wheat. He reads slowly, savoring the connection to his friend far away. The journey of the letter is complete. It has traveled hundreds of miles over dirt roads and rivers, carried by horses and hands, through rain and shine. It was a slow journey, a quiet journey, a journey of patience and time. Just as the letter rests now, so too does the world around it settle into the quiet of the evening. The sun sets again. The candles are lit. The day is done. Time moves forward like a slow river winding through the bedrock of history.
The wheel of time turns again, slowly and steadily, carrying us forward into the 20th century. It is the year 1924 in the city of Detroit, Michigan. The morning sky is a pale gray, obscured by the gentle haze of industry that hangs over the city like a blanket. We find ourselves inside a massive building made of red brick and glass. It is a factory. The ceiling is high and filled with steel girders that crisscross in geometric patterns. Sunlight filters down through skylights high above, catching millions of tiny dust motes dancing in the air. They float and swirl in the shafts of light, moving in slow motion. The air here is warm and smells of oil and rubber and heated metal. It is a smell of work, but it is not unpleasant. It is the scent of consistency. A low hum fills the vast space. Hum. It is the sound of 1,000 belts and pulleys turning in unison. It is a steady drone that blocks out all other thoughts. In the center of the floor, there is a conveyor belt. It is a long, moving strip of canvas and leather that stretches from one end of the building to the other. It moves at a constant, unchanging speed. Creep, creep, creep. On the belt are the chassis of automobiles, black steel frames that look like skeletons of beasts. Men stand in lines on either side of the belt. They are dressed in blue overalls and caps. They do not speak. There is no need to speak. Everyone knows their task. We focus on one man standing at station 42. His name is silent to us, but his movements are loud in their precision. He holds a heavy steel wrench in his right hand. The metal of the wrench is smooth and cool against his palm, worn shiny by years of use. A chassis moves into his station. It arrives slowly. Slide. Stop. He steps forward. He takes a bolt from a wooden bin next to him. The bin is filled with hundreds of identical bolts. He picks one up. He feels the threads with his thumb. He places the bolt into a hole on the steel frame. He fits the wrench over the head of the bolt. Turn, 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 tighten. The motion is circular and smooth. His arm moves like a piston. He checks the tightness. It is secure. He steps back. The conveyor belt moves again. The chassis slides away to the left. A new chassis slides in from the right. The process begins again. He steps forward. He picks up a bolt. He places it in the hole. He fits the wrench. Turn, 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 tighten. Step back. It is a dance of efficiency. There is no wasted energy. There is no variation. The rhythm is hypnotic. Clink, turn, slide. Clink, turn, slide. Hours pass in this manner. The clock on the wall has a large white face with black numbers. The second hand sweeps around the dial. Tick, 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 tick. It moves so smoothly it seems to glide. The minute hand shifts imperceptibly. 10 o'clock becomes 11 o'clock. The light in the factory changes as the sun moves overhead. Shadows of the window frames lengthen across the concrete floor. The hum of the machinery never wavers.
It is a constant companion, a deep vibration that can be felt in the soles of the boots. Somewhere in the distance, a steam whistle blows. It is a soft sound, muffled by the size of the building. It signals a break. The belt slows to a halt. The hum descends in pitch. Whirr, stop. The men wipe their hands on rags. They walk slowly to the benches along the wall. They open metal lunch pails. They take out sandwiches wrapped in wax paper. The crinkle of the paper is the loudest sound in the room. Crinkle, crinkle. They eat slowly. They chew rhythmically. Eyes gaze out the windows at the smokestacks rising into the sky. White plumes of steam drift lazily in the windless air. The break ends. The whistle blows again, soft and low. The men return to their stations. The motors engage. Click, hum. The belt shudders and begins to move. Creep, creep, creep. The man at station 42 picks up his wrench. The metal has warmed slightly from the air. A chassis arrives. He picks up a bolt. Turn, 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 tighten. The afternoon stretches out, long and flat like the horizon of the Great Plains. Repetition is a form of meditation. The mind clears. There is only the bolt and the wrench and the belt. 1 car, 2 cars, 10 cars, 50 cars. They all look the same. They are all painted the same deep black. Black like the coal that powers the furnaces. Black like the ink in the ledger books. The sun begins to lower in the west. The light turns amber. The dust motes turn into specks of gold. The pace does not change. The factory does not tire. The man does not hurry. He is part of the machine, steady, reliable, calm. Outside the factory, the city begins to slow down. Streetcars rumble along their tracks, clang, clang. But inside, the rhythm remains. Finally, the shift ends. The belt stops for the last time that day. Silence rushes back into the room, filling the space between the girders. The man places his wrench on the bench. He wipes his hands. He takes off his cap. He walks towards the exit. His footsteps echo on the concrete. Tap, tap, tap. He walks out into the cool evening air. The sky is violet. The first stars are appearing. He breathes in the fresh air. He walks home. The factory sits silent behind him, a sleeping giant of brick and steel. The bolts are tight. The cars are built. The day is done. Everything is in its place. Stillness returns to Detroit. The years drift by like clouds across a summer sky, and we arrive in the year 1986. The noise of the factory has faded away, replaced by a profound and heavy silence. We are standing in the center of a large public library in a city like Chicago or Boston. Outside, the world is moving faster with honking cars and rushing people. But inside these thick stone walls, time has slowed to a crawl. The air is cool and conditioned. It smells of old paper and book glue and commercial carpet. The floor is covered in a dense gray carpet that absorbs every sound. Footsteps do not echo here. They are just soft thuds, thud, thud. Rows and rows of tall metal shelves stretch out in every direction. They are filled with thousands of books, hardcovers with spines of red and blue and green. They stand shoulder to shoulder, silent and waiting. We walk slowly down an aisle. The only sound is the low hum of the fluorescent lights overhead. Bzzz. It is a steady electric vibration that becomes part of the silence. Dust motes float in the artificial light, settling gently on the metal shelves. At the end of the row stands a large wooden cabinet with hundreds of small drawers. It is the card catalog. A librarian stands there. She wears a wool cardigan and reading glasses on a chain. She opens one of the drawers. It slides out on wooden rails with a soft friction sound. Shh. Inside are hundreds of white index cards, tightly packed. She uses her finger to flip through them. Flip, 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 flip. The sound is like a dry whisper. She finds the card she needs. She pulls it up slightly. She reads the typed letters. She closes the drawer. Slide, thunk. It is a slow, deliberate process. There is no screen to tap. There is only wood and paper. We move to a darker corner of the library. This is the reference section. Here sits a row of heavy machines made of gray metal and glass. They are microfiche readers. A man sits at one. He is researching an old newspaper from 50 years ago. He holds a reel of film in his hands. He places it on the spindle. Click. He threads the film through the glass plates. He turns a knob. The machine hums to life with a mechanical whir. Whir. On the illuminated screen, a blurry image of a newspaper page appears. He turns the knob slowly to scroll down the page. The image moves up. Lines of text slide by, headline after headline. He stops. He squints. He reads. He turns the knob again. Whir. The sound is repetitive and soothing. It is the sound of analog information. Next to the microfiche machines is a solitary computer terminal. It is large and beige with a heavy curved screen. It is not connected to the internet. It is a simple catalog terminal. The screen glows with a soft green light. A small cursor blinks in the top left corner. Blink, 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 blink.
We leave the gravity of the Earth behind entirely, drifting upwards through the clouds and the atmosphere until we reach the velvet blackness of space. It is the present day, or perhaps the near future, on a station orbiting 250 miles above the surface. Here, there is no wind. There is no rain. There is no sound from the outside world because there is no air to carry it. The vacuum is absolute silence. Inside the station, the environment is controlled and precise. The only sound is the constant rhythmic hiss of the air circulation fans. Shh. It is a white noise that wraps around everything, a blanket of sound that signifies safety and life. We float weightless in a corridor. There is no up and no down. Handrails run along the walls, painted a soft, neutral beige. A crew member sleeps in a vertical pod strapped to the wall in a sleeping bag to keep from drifting away. His arms float gently in front of him. He breathes slowly, in and out, in and out. The station is in its night cycle. The main lights are dimmed to a low amber glow to simulate evening. We drift towards the observation cupola, a large window facing the Earth. The view is vast and slow. Below us, the planet turns majestically on its axis. It is a giant marble of blue ocean and white swirling clouds. We are passing over the Pacific Ocean. It looks calm and still from this height. The water stretches for thousands of miles, unbroken by land. The sun is beginning to set behind the curve of the Earth. A thin band of atmosphere glows with intense colors: royal blue, electric indigo, soft orange. Then it fades into black. Darkness swallows the world below. We are now flying over the night side of the Earth. City lights begin to appear, like gold dust scattered on black velvet. There is the grid of a city, lines of amber and white. Cars moving on highways are invisible, but their collective light creates a river of energy. It all moves by so slowly. The station travels at 17,000 miles per hour, but up here, it feels like we are hanging motionless. There is no sensation of speed, only the slow unfoldment of geography. Inside the control module, a bank of monitors hums quietly. Screens display graphs and numbers.
Green lines wave up and down. Oxygen levels stable. Pressure stable. Battery charge steady. A light blinks on a server rack. Blink, pause, blink, pause. It is a green LED light. Next to it, an amber light flickers occasionally. It is the heartbeat of the station. The computer processes data in silence. Cooling fans whir softly. Whir. The automated systems take care of everything. Water is recycled, air is scrubbed, solar panels outside rotate imperceptibly to track the position of the sun. Everything is automated. Everything is calm. A pen has been left floating in midair by a busy astronaut. It rotates slowly on its center of gravity, round and round. It drifts inches per minute towards an air vent. We watch it spin. It is hypnotic. Outside the window, the moon rises. It is bright and stark against the black sky. Craters and gray plains are visible in sharp detail. It watches the Earth. The Earth watches the moon. A cosmic dance that has lasted for billions of years. We pass over a storm covering a continent. From up here, there is no thunder, only tiny flashes of light deep within the clouds. Flash. Wait. Flash. Like fireflies in a jar. It is peaceful to watch a storm without the noise. The station continues its orbit. The Terminator line approaches, the line between night and day. The sun begins to peek over the rim of the Earth again, a blinding diamond of white light. Dawn comes quickly in orbit. The solar panels catch the light. The station warms. The cycle begins again. Orbit after orbit, day after night, around and around. The consistency is absolute. There is nowhere to go. There is nothing to do right now but float and watch. The universe is vast and quiet. The stars are steady points of light that do not twinkle. The Milky Way stretches across the view, a river of dust and stars. We are small. We are safe. We are drifting. The hum of the fans continues. Shh. The lights blink. The Earth turns. The mind slows down, matching the rotation of the planet. The heavy weight of gravity is gone. The heavy weight of worry is gone. There is only the float, the drift, the silence. Sleep comes easily here. Sleep is just another form of drifting. We close our eyes. The blue light of Earth fades. The hum remains. We are at rest. We descend from the stars and travel back through the mist of centuries, landing softly in the year 1412. The world is older now and much quieter. We are in a stone monastery tucked away in a high valley of the Alps where the air is thin and cold. The sun has set long ago, and the only light comes from the flickering flames of tallow candles. We enter the scriptorium. It is a long room with a vaulted stone ceiling. The walls are bare and gray, made of blocks of granite hewn from the mountain. The room smells of beeswax and old parchment and the metallic tang of iron gall ink. A row of monks sits at slanted wooden desks. They are scribes, the keepers of knowledge. They are dressed in heavy wool robes of rough brown cloth. Their hoods are pulled up against the draft that seeps through the cracks in the stone. We focus on one scribe near the end of the row. He is an old man with hands that have known ink for 50 years. He is copying a manuscript, a holy text. He has been working on this single page for 3 days. The pace of his work is glacial. He picks up his quill, which is cut from the flight feather of a swan. He inspects the tip. It has become dulled from the rough surface of the vellum. He takes a small, sharp knife from the table. He carefully shaves a tiny sliver of quill from the nib. Scrape, scrape. He tests the point on a scrap of paper. It is ready. He dips the pen into a horn filled with black ink. He taps the excess against the rim. Tap, tap. He brings the pen to the page. He does not write a word. He draws a letter. It is the letter Q. He starts with the curve. The ink flows dark and wet onto the cream-colored skin of the page. He pulls the pen down to make the tail, the line as straight and true. He lifts the pen. He breathes. He waits for the ink to settle. There is no rush. To rush is to make a mistake, and to make a mistake is to waste the skin of the lamb. He dips the pen again. He moves to the next letter, U. Down and up, down. The scratch of the quill on the vellum is the only sound in the room. Scritch, scratch, scritch, scratch. It is a dry, raspy sound, like dried leaves skittering across stone. Beside his manuscript lies a small pot of gold leaf. Later, when the black letters are done, he will apply the gold to the capital letter at the top of the page. He will breathe on the gold to warm it and press it down with a polished agate stone until it shines like the sun. But that is work for tomorrow, or perhaps the day after. Tonight, he focuses on the text, line by line. The Latin words form a solid block of texture on the page. He pauses to rub his hand. The cold makes his knuckles ache. He tucks his hands into the wide sleeves of his robe to warm them. He closes his eyes for a moment. In the distance, deep within the stone walls of the chapel, the other monks are chanting the evening prayers, a low drone of voices rising and falling in unison. Om. It is a vibration that permeates the floor and the walls. It is the sound of devotion. The scribe opens his eyes. He takes his hand out of his sleeve. He picks up the pen. He dips it. He writes I-S. He dots the I with a diamond shape. The candle on his desk has burned down an inch. A drop of hot wax rolls down the side and hardens on the iron holder. The light.
We shrink down now from the vastness of the ocean to the size of a grain of sand, entering a world of microscopic precision. It is the year 1910 in a small cobbled street in Zurich, Switzerland. Evening has fallen, and the gas lamps outside cast long shadows on the stones. We enter a small shop at the end of the lane. The doorbell chimes once. Ding! Then silence returns. The shop is filled with clocks, hundreds of them. Grandfather clocks standing tall against the walls, mantel clocks sitting on shelves, pocket watches hanging from hooks. The air is thick with the sound of time. Tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. They do not tick in unison. It is a chaotic yet soothing wash of sound, like raindrops falling on a tin roof. We move to the back of the shop where the watchmaker sits at his bench. He is hunched over a pool of yellow light cast by an oil lamp. He wears a leather apron. On his eye he wears a magnifying loupe, a black cone that allows him to see the invisible. He is holding a pair of steel tweezers. The tips are needle-sharp. In the grip of the tweezers he holds a screw. The screw is smaller than a crumb of bread. If he sneezes, it will be lost forever. He holds his breath. He lowers the screw towards the brass plate of a pocket watch. His hand is steady, steady as a rock. He aligns the screw with the hole. He pauses. He waits for his own heartbeat to settle between the beats. Thump, thump. Now. He drops the screw into the hole. It fits perfectly. He picks up a tiny screwdriver. He turns the screw. Turn, turn, tighten.
The metal is soft and gold. The screw is blue steel. The contrast is beautiful. He exhales slowly. He picks up a small oiler, a thin needle dipped in whale oil. He touches the tip of the needle to the jewel bearing, a tiny drop of red ruby. A single sphere of oil transfers from the needle to the jewel. Bloop. It is enough to lubricate the watch for 5 years. He winds the mainspring. Click, click, click. The tension builds in the steel coil. He nudges the balance wheel. It swings back and forth, back and forth. The watch comes alive. Tick, tick, tick. It joins the chorus of the room. The watchmaker takes the loop from his eye. He rubs his face. His eyes are tired. He looks around his shop. The pendulum of the grandfather clock swings slowly. Left, right, left, right. The brass gleams in the shadows. He stands up and stretches. His bones pop softly. He takes off his apron. He hangs it on a peg. He walks to the front door and turns the sign to closed. He blows out the lamp on his desk. The room plunges into semi-darkness, illuminated only by the streetlights outside. The ticking continues. It never stops. It is the sound of the universe passing by, 1 second at a time. The watchmaker climbs the stairs to his room above the shop. The floorboards creak, creak. He leaves the clocks to talk among themselves. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The rhythm is constant. The rhythm is eternal. Calm, precise, unending. We travel now to the deep wilderness, far from the cities and the clocks, to a place where the only time is measured by the sun and the seasons. It is winter in the northern mountains, perhaps in the high Rockies or the Adirondacks. The world outside is a blanket of pure white snow. It falls softly from a gray sky, flake after flake, millions of them. They land on the tall pine trees, weighing down the heavy green branches. They land on the ground, covering the tracks of the deer and the fox. Silence covers the land like a heavy quilt. In the middle of this white expanse stands a small log cabin. Smoke rises lazily from the stone chimney, drifting up to join the clouds. We move towards the cabin. The snow crunches softly under our boots. Crunch, crunch. The air is biting cold, sharp and clean in the lungs. We open the heavy wooden door and step inside. The warmth hits us instantly. It is a dry heat, smelling of wood smoke and pine resin. The door closes, shutting out the wind. The cabin is small and cozy. The walls are made of thick, rough logs stacked one on top of the other. Moss and clay fill the gaps between them, keeping the drafts at bay. In the center of the room is a large stone fireplace. A fire is burning brightly. Orange and yellow flames dance over the logs. Crackle, pop. A log shifts and settles into the bed of glowing red embers. Hiss. Sparks fly up the chimney. A man sits in a rocking chair in front of the hearth. He is wrapped in a thick wool blanket with a pattern of red and black squares. He is not reading. He is not working. He is simply watching the fire. Back and forth. Rock, rock. The chair creaks rhythmically on the wooden floorboards. Creak, creak, creak. Beside him on a small table sits a mug of hot cider. Steam rises from the cup, swirling in the firelight. The smell of cinnamon and apple fills the room. He reaches out a hand warm from the fire and picks up the mug. He takes a sip. It is hot and sweet. He sets it down. Outside, the snow continues to fall. It piles up against the window panes, creating a soft white glow. The wind picks up slightly, whistling around the corners of the roof. But inside, it is safe. The fire is the heart of the room. The man stands up slowly. He walks to the woodpile stacked neatly against the wall. He picks up a split log.
It is heavy and rough with bark. He places it carefully onto the fire. The flames lick at the new wood. Smoke curls around it. Soon it catches fire, adding its heat to the room. He returns to the chair. He sits, rock, rock. The light from the fire casts long dancing shadows on the walls. The shadows stretch and shrink, stretch and shrink. The dog sleeping on the rug in front of the fire lets out a deep sigh. It twitches its paws, dreaming of running in the snow. The man closes his eyes. The heat on his face is comforting. The sound of the crackling fire is a lullaby. Nothing needs to be done. There is nowhere to go. The road is blocked by snow. The world has stopped. There is only the warmth and the wood and the waiting. The afternoon fades into evening. The light in the room changes from the white of the snow to the orange of the fire. The rhythm of the rocking chair slows down. Creak, pause, creak, pause. The man's breathing becomes deep and even. The cabin holds the heat. The logs hold the history of the forest. The fire holds the memory of the sun. Everything is connected in the circle of warmth. Sleep comes gently here, wrapped in wool and silence. The storm outside is just a whisper now. The fire burns low. The embers glow. The night is here.
We drift now further back in time, to the cradle of civilization, to the banks of the mighty Nile River in the year 1300 BC. The sun is high and fierce in a cloudless blue sky, casting a brilliant white light over the desert sands. We are on a boat, a wooden felucca made of cedar wood imported from faraway lands. The wood is smooth and warm to the touch. The boat sits low in the water. The river is wide and green, moving with a slow, powerful current toward the sea. There is no wind today, so the large triangular sail hangs limp and heavy from the mast. The boat is moved by oars. 6 men sit on wooden benches, 3 on the left, 3 on the right. They hold long, heavy oars made of acacia wood. They move in perfect unison. Lean forward, dip, pull, lift. Lean forward, dip, pull, lift. The sound is rhythmic and wet. Splash, swish, drip. Splash, swish, drip. Drops of water fall from the blades of the oars, creating circular ripples that expand and vanish into the green expanse. We are lying on a cushion under a canopy of linen cloth. The cloth provides shade from the burning gaze of the sun god Ra. The air is hot and dry, but the breeze from the water is cool. We watch the banks of the river slide by. On the shore, tall stalks of papyrus reeds grow in thick clusters. They sway gently in the wake of the boat. Rustle, rustle. A white ibis bird stands on one leg in the shallows, watching the water with a black, beady eye. It does not move. It waits. Further back from the river are the fields of wheat and barley. Farmers are working the land. They swing their hoes in a slow rhythm. Chop, lift, chop, lift. They're small figures against the vastness of the landscape. Beyond the green strip of life lies the desert, endless dunes of gold and orange sand rolling away to the horizon. The heat creates a shimmer in the air, making the distant cliffs look like they're floating. The boat continues its journey downstream. We pass a temple built of massive limestone blocks. Huge columns rise up like stone trees, carved with hieroglyphs that tell stories of gods and kings. The stone is silent. The statues are silent. They have stood there for centuries, and they will stand there for centuries more. The boat glides past them. The only sound is the creaking of the wood and the splashing of the oars. Creak, splash, creak, splash. The afternoon wears on. The sun begins to lower, painting the sky in shades of violet and crimson. The heat of the day begins to dissipate, replaced by the cool breath of the evening. The rowers slow their pace. The boat drifts closer to the bank. The current carries us gently. We see a crocodile resting on a mud bank, its mouth open to cool off. It looks like a log until it slides silently into the water without a splash. The river is alive, yet it is the definition of stillness. The light fades. The first stars appear. Sirius, the dog star, shines bright and blue. The boat is tied to a wooden post on the bank. The rope tightens. Creak. The movement stops. The water laps gently against the hull. Lap, lap, lap. It is a soft, sleepy sound. The rowers rest. The birds settle into the reeds. The river flows on in the darkness, a black ribbon of life moving through the sand. The night is absolute. The silence of the desert is heavy and profound. We close our eyes and listen to the water. The river has no beginning and no end. It just flows, calm, deep, eternal. We cross the ocean once more and arrive in the quiet hills of Kyoto, Japan, in the year 1650. It is just before dawn, and the world is wrapped in a soft blue mist that clings to the pine trees and the tile roofs of the temples. We are standing on the wooden veranda of a Zen monastery. The wood of the floor is polished smooth by centuries of tabi socks sliding across it. In front of us lies the dry landscape garden. It is not a garden of flowers and streams, but a garden of stone and sand. 15 large rocks are arranged in groups on a bed of white gravel. The rocks are dark and rugged, covered in patches of velvety green moss. They look like islands floating in a white sea. A monk appears from the shadows. He is dressed in simple black robes that rustle softly as he moves. Swish, swish. He holds a long wooden rake. The teeth of the rake are cut from bamboo. He steps down from the veranda onto the edge of the gravel. He bows to the garden. He begins his work. He extends the rake. He pulls it towards him. Scritch, scritch, scritch. The sound is dry and rhythmic. The rake cuts deep grooves into the loose white stones. He is creating the pattern of water, waves, ripples, and currents. He moves backwards slowly. Step, drag, step, drag. He does not hurry. The lines must be perfectly straight, parallel, uniform. He reaches a large rock. He turns the rake. He draws circles around the stone, round and round, creating the illusion of ripples breaking against an island. The sound of the gravel shifting is the only sound in the valley. Crunch, slide, crunch, slide. The mist begins to lift as the sun rises. A pale light touches the tops of the trees. A nightingale sings from a branch. Hoo, hoo. The monk continues his path. He is focused entirely on the movement of the rake. His mind is empty. There is no past, there is no future. There is only the stone and the sand. He reaches the corner of the garden. He turns. He starts a new line. The white gravel reflects the growing light. It glows softly. The pattern is mesmerizing. Long, straight lines stretching from wall to wall, curves around the mossy rocks. It is a painting made of earth. The monk reaches the end. He steps off the gravel. He looks back at his work. Not a single stone is out of place. The garden is a sea of perfection, silent, still, white. He bows again. He picks up his rake. He walks away into the shadows of the temple. The garden remains, waiting for the sun to cross the sky, waiting for the shadows to lengthen. The rocks sit heavy and eternal. The sand holds the shape of the water. The peace of the morning is absolute.
The sky outside turns a deep slate gray as heavy clouds roll in over the English countryside, or perhaps the misty hills of Oregon. It is the year 1890.
We are inside a private study, a room lined with dark mahogany bookshelves that reach all the way to the ceiling. The shelves are packed with leather-bound volumes that smell of dust and history. In the corner, a fire burns low in the grate, casting a warm, flickering orange glow across the Persian rug. We are sitting in a large wing-back chair, upholstered in soft velvet. It is the most comfortable chair in the world. Outside, the first drops of rain begin to fall. Pat, pat, pat. They hit the glass of the tall window with a gentle sound. Then the rain begins in earnest, a steady, rhythmic drumming that wraps the house in a cocoon of sound. Thrum. The rain washes down the glass, blurring the view of the garden outside. The green trees become soft smears of color. The world is shutting down. Inside the room, it is dry and warm. We have a book open on our lap. It is a thick novel with yellowed pages. We read a sentence. The words flow smoothly in the mind. We turn the page. The sound of the paper sliding against paper is loud in the quiet room. Shh. We pick up a porcelain cup from the side table. It contains Earl Grey tea with a splash of milk. The china clinks softly against the saucer. Clink. We take a sip. The tea is warm and soothing. We look out the window again. The rain is heavier now. It drums on the roof. Drub, drub, drub. It gurgles in the gutters. The sound is continuous and white. It drowns out any thought of tomorrow. It drowns out any worry. There is only the rain and the room. A cat sleeping on the rug stretches its paws and yawns. It curls back into a ball, hiding its nose in its fur. We settle deeper into the chair. The velvet is soft against our arms. The fire pops gently. Pop. A log settles. The light in the room is dim, perfect for dozing. The letters on the page begin to swim slightly. The eyelids feel heavy, so heavy. The sound of the rain is a curtain separating us from the rest of the world. We are safe here. We are warm. The clock on the mantel ticks slowly, but the rain is louder. The rain is the only time that matters. It falls on the grass. It falls on the stones. It falls on the roof. Steady, unceasing, calm. The book rests on our lap. The eyes close, just for a moment, listening to the water from the sky, a lullaby of nature washing everything clean. Rain, sleep, peace. The hour is late, perhaps 2 or 3 in the morning, and the town is asleep under a heavy blanket of fresh snow. It is 1952 on Main Street in a small town in Ohio or Indiana. The streetlights cast pools of warm yellow light onto the white ground. We are walking alone. The air is cold and still. There is no wind to bite the face, only a crisp freshness that wakes the senses gently. Our boots sink into the snow with a satisfying sound. Crunch, crunch, crunch. It is the only sound in the world. The snow muffles everything else. Cars are parked along the curb, buried under mounds of white. They look like sleeping bears. We pass the storefronts, the hardware store with its display of tools in the dark window, hammers and saws resting silently, the bakery where the ovens are cold until morning. We stop to look at a neon sign hanging in the window of a diner. It buzzes softly. Bzzz. The pink light reflects off the snow on the sidewalk. Inside the diner is dark except for a single safety light in the back. The chrome and stools stand in a row, gleaming faintly. We continue walking. The traffic light at the intersection changes color. Green, yellow, red. There are no cars to stop. It changes for no one. It is a machine following its programming in the void of the night. We wait for it anyway. We watch the red light glow. Then green. We cross the street. The asphalt is hidden under the powder. We look up. The sky is a deep purple gray. The clouds are low, reflecting the city lights. Snowflakes drift down into the halos of the street lamps. They dance and swirl before landing on the sleeve of our wool coat. We brush them off. Brush, brush. We pass the post office, a sturdy brick building with stone steps. The flag is lowered for the night. The brass letter drop is polished and shut. We turn down a residential street. The houses are dark. Families are sleeping in warm beds. Smoke rises from chimneys in thin, straight lines. A dog barks once in the distance. Woof! Then silence returns. We are the only witness to this peaceful hour. The solitude is not lonely, it is liberating. The world demands nothing of us right now. There is no work, there is no noise. There is only the walk. Step, crunch, step, crunch. We approach a small park. The benches are covered in snow. The swing set stands still. The chains hang straight down. We stop to breathe. A puff of white vapor appears in the air and vanishes. We turn the collar of our coat up. We head towards home. The porch light is on, a beacon in the white. We walk up the steps, stump, stump, shaking the snow from our boots. We find the key. We turn the lock. Click. We step inside. The house is warm. The walk is done. The town continues to sleep outside, white and silent and still.